Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about video games because I feel like that a lot needs to just be discussed because I guess I'm more so one of those people where I just want to understand what direction are we going with gaming. Because I don't know whether we should buy games or whether we should go back and play old games or if we should just stop gaming altogether. Because in this day and age of gaming, there's a lot of different video games out there where I'm confused by the logic, more so the developers. I guess I'm more so confused by their logic because you have it where there's a lot of different developers where they want to be all like mysterious with their video games and not tell nobody nothing. Then when the game comes out, we have this high expectations of like, oh, this game's going to be good. Game comes out and then it's not good. For an example, the day before when they were promoting that game, I would have to say that was probably the video game that they were promoting. Yeah, that was one of the best looking video games to come out in the recent years. But then when they finally did come out with it, and then it was crazy to me, whereas like when the game came out, it was a completely different game. And then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know why the developers felt that it was a good idea to not tell nobody nothing. Then when the game did come out, then it was like, this isn't the game that you guys promoted. You promoted a video game that looked like The Division, but with zombies. Now, all of a sudden, we're playing Escape from Tarkov with zombies. So, that's why I'm so confused by gaming today, because I'm like, do you want people to say good things about you, or do you not want people to say good things about you? That's why I'm like, if you're going to come out with a video game, you got to ask around. You got to do some beta testing. You got to come out with a demo. You got to do something where it's like, okay, we want people to buy our video game. But if you're going to come out with a video game, not tell nobody nothing, and expect people to say all these good things about it, that's not going to happen. And it's funny because every video game is going to have defenders. Like, that's one thing that I've noticed in the recent years, because there'll be games where it's like, okay, if the game is all that good, why is everybody that's pretty much a gamer, why are they playing every other game besides this game? Yeah, there's that crowd that is playing the game, but you got people still playing Fortnite, and that game came out how many years ago? Like, what was it, 2017? You got where people are playing Grand Theft Auto 5, and that game came out back in 2013. I'm trying to think of some games older than Grand Theft Auto 5 that people still play. When did Skyrim come out? Because I feel like Skyrim, that game came out, it had to have come out in like 2010, or hold on for a second, maybe that game came out a little bit later. Why can I not? What's going on? Steam must be having, that's weird. I looked up Skyrim and then nothing popped up. Steam must be down or something. Hold on. Maybe my internet might be out or something, but it was weird because my internet was working perfectly fine before. So, yeah, I think that's just Steam. Steam got some stuff going on. But anyways, yeah, let's look up Skyrim, see when that game came out in 2011, and people still play that game till this day. Well, I know they did come out with like a remastered version of it and stuff. But yeah, there's all these old games, and I think they said Fallout 4, that just recently came out for the Nintendo Switch, and that game came out back in 2015. So there's a lot of different old games that people play where it's like, those games did something for somebody. They were actually good games. But in getting back to, I guess, like just any video game, like you name the game, but people will try to defend it. Like in the one game that people just recently tried to defend, where they were, I guess, trying to change my perspective of the game. And I'm like, you can't change my perspective. When I play a video game, I don't play a video game to play the game, go to YouTube when I get stuck on the game, then go to TikTok, then go to Reddit, and then come back to the video game. I just want to play the video game, and I can think of so many different video games out there where, I had to like pretty much reteach myself, Forza Motorsports, for an example. So when I very first had played Forza Motorsports, I didn't know what I was doing when it came to that game. I was so caught up with playing arcade racing games. I never played a game where they had you, they had it where you did upgrades to your car, but tuning your car, like tuning the gears and all this other. I had to say, throughout my time of playing Forza, I have went on to Googled stuff about the game on like rare occasions. I think maybe one time, and that was just to figure out, the tuning part of the car. But other than that, I've never got stuck in that game to where I had to go to the internet and figure out how, because that is one thing about the Forza, is that they do have a difficulty settings in there. So if you want to play the game on easy, you can play the game on easy. But if you want to play the game on hard, you very well can play the game on hard. Now, what I'm trying to piece together and figure out is, why is it, because that's something that people, they like to criticize with some, is that when you play a game on easy, why is that a problem? How does that affect your day-to-day life when it comes to me playing a video game on easy? Because me, if I play the game on easy, I'm just trying to have an easy experience. But if I want to challenge myself, guess what? That's why they have a difficulty setting. So if I want to play it on medium, I very well can play it on medium. If I want to play it on hard, I can play it on hard. But when I buy a video game, I don't like to struggle. I don't like I look at video games as a like a getaway, like a stress reliever. So like, what am I supposed to do if a video game's stressing me out? And excuse me, it don't help either where it's like you talk badly about the game, and then instead of people trying to understand where you're coming from, they just want to jump up and defend the game or say that you're having a skill issue. And it's crazy because let's just say that Forza, there was a lot wrong with that. Why? Okay, you know what? No, let's just say the new Forza Motorsport. You know, that world, I can't really call it new, game did come out a few years ago. But yeah, let's just use that Forza Motorsport as an example. So there is a lot to criticize with that game because it's not the older Forza Motorsports. When you look at Forza Motorsports 3 and 4 and 7, I would have to say those are probably the best Forza Motorsports to come out of the series, you know, because yeah, Forza Motorsports 7, that had a lot of content in there. 3 and 4, those were the two that I got into when I very first got into Forza, so I have nothing but respect for those games. I have played all the different Forza video games, but yeah, Forza Motorsport, that felt more, because I think now they're trying to add content to that game, but that felt more of a tech demo than a game itself, like than a full game. And I'm happy that I do have Xbox Game Pass, because I would have been mad if I went and bought that game and I'm like, I paid $70 for a video game where it's like the stuff that they offered, that very well could have been a demo. Like, you guys could have definitely offered a little bit more with that game. But there's other video games that are like that, where it's like you play the game and they don't offer a whole lot, or you have to go run back and forth to the internet to get a better experience. And I'm like, why is it so hard for developers just to listen to the fans? Like, that's one thing that I've noticed over the years, just playing video games, because I've been playing video games since I was like maybe 2 or 3 years old. So it's like I'm like 29 now, so I've been playing video games well over 20 years. So it trips me out, you know, when people, and they try to make it seem like I don't know nothing about video games, and I'm like, fam, I've been playing video games a lot longer than you most likely been alive, because I feel like that anybody around my age, they will understand, you know, where I'm coming from when I talk about video games. But I feel like it's gonna probably be some people that are not even a little bit, a whole lot younger than me, trying to tell me about video games, and it's like, you're caught up playing games like Fortnite and Rainbow Six Siege, and there ain't nothing wrong with those games, but you came from a whole completely different era of gaming. Yeah, you came into the era of gaming where patch updates and, you know, games being sold for a high price, but they're giving you little to no content. Yeah, that's a normal. But when I sit down and I think of like PlayStation 2 games, let's just say Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for an example, right? Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, that was probably, at the time, that was probably the most deepest and in-depth video game of all time, just with the amount of areas that you could go to, the amount of stuff that they had in the game, the story, the gameplay. I mean, there are so many different things that you can do in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas that when you look at games today, and it's like they try to recreate that. Like, I guess the one game that I can think of for an example where I did like the game, but I can understand why people were frustrated with that game, but the last Saints Row game to come out. Now, you would think in this day and age, because let's just use cars as an example, right? So when you look at a 2004 because I don't think did they make Mustangs in 2006? I know they had those 2005 ones, but let's just say it's a 2004 Mustang. Now, when you compare a 2004 used Mustang to a 2024 brand new Mustang, most people are gonna be like, oh yeah, the brand new Mustang, that's better, that's nice, like that's the newer car and stuff. Now, you would think that that's where video games would be at, where it's like, I guess, yeah, maybe from the same company, but I don't know, maybe I should have used a different car. All right, let's just say a 2024 Camaro or something, right? But when you overall look at the old card, you're gonna be like, well, that's the older card. Like, that's not gonna be as good. Do you know how sad it is where if we switch over to video games, a video game that came out over 20 years ago is better than a video game that came out over 20 years later? Because I think, when did Saints Row come out? Hold on for a second. The new Saints Row, I should say. Because, yeah, they came out with those one Saints Row games where yeah, there it goes. Yeah, and they got it where this game is on sale. Oh, okay, so it's not, so it's a 19-year-old game. It ain't a 20-year-old game compared to whatchamacallit, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. But you would think that the new game, because it's a new game, that it's going to have more content, it's going to be better than the game. And what's crazy is that this game is $4.99 right now. They got it, so that's because it's they got it on sale, where it's 85% off, and usually the game would cost $29.99. Grand Theft Auto, let's see if they have San Andreas. So Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, they could, okay, so they got like the trilogy. You can't buy the game by itself, I guess. Okay, so I that sounds like much more of a better deal and things. But no, you could get all three of the old Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy series, 3 Vice Cities and San Andreas for $59.99. And these are old games, so it's like, for one, it's like, how are old games more expensive than the new game? But on top of that, how is it that the old games got more content than the new games? Even if we just separate Grand Theft Auto, Vice Cities, and 3, even if we do use 3 and Vice Cities, I still feel like that those were better games compared to Saints Row. Like, I did like that last Saints Row game, but at the same time, if we're comparing Saints Row to like Saints Row 2, in my opinion, that would probably be the best Saints Row game of all time. But when we compare Saints Row 2 and all the content that that game had to the new Saints Row, you would think, okay, the new Saints Row is going to be better. Like, if we are thinking like, okay, like a 27 home compared to the 2027 or 2026 home or something, is the new home is gonna be better than the old home. Same with cars, same with you know what else, I'm trying to think of some other things. Food, I guess, like as another example. Yeah, because it's like some food that's over 100 years old. I know them people be eating like 100-year-old eggs and stuff, but other than that, it's like, yeah, the newer product is gonna be better than the older product. Not with gaming, and that just trips me out, where it's like, you can look back at so many old video games from back then, and that's something where I'm like, to the younger generation, please look up some old video games. Do your research before you just get to talking about a video game, because the thing is this, I came from that time and era of where old video games were like, it was, to some people, that was their main source of entertainment. Like, because I mean, like movies and TV shows and all that stuff, like, I mean, they were doing good, but gaming back then was just, it was different from what gaming is now. Like, you didn't have no Xbox Game Pass, you didn't have no PlayStation Plus, you didn't have no Nintendo Online. You had whatever Nintendo console, Xbox or Xbox 360, PlayStation 2 or 3. You had that, you had a video game, and you had a bunch of hours to play those games. And now it just trips me out where, like, a lot of games nowadays, you play for 5 minutes and you see everything that you need to see. Because, for an example, there's the one video game that just came out, and I guess they're trying to compete with Car Mechanic Simulator, but Car Service Online, or no, Car Service Together. That's what the game is called. But it's a car mechanic game. And you can't even sell old parts. So if you accidentally buy a part, you just stuck with the part. There's the, of course, the Souls-like video games where, when you look at boss battle games from back then and can look at the boss battle games now, they have it where there's like, the story is bland. Nobody, because that's one thing about it. I have never heard nothing about the Dark Souls story. I've never heard nothing about the Elden Ring story. Anytime when I hear about those video games, it's always because of the boss battles in those games, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the story. Back then, you seen where games like Mario, for an example, yeah, the story is pretty basic. You pretty much go find the what was it, Princess Peach or something like that, kill Bowser or fight Bowser and stuff. Story wasn't really all that, but still though, it's like, it's something where, if you've seen them make it into a, well, yeah, they did make that Mario movie and stuff, but I guess, like, what if they were to make a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring movie? That had to be the first time when somebody would be paying attention to the story. But on top of that, do you think they're going to have it set up where the main character dies 1,000 times? Because let's just see how long it takes to beat Elden Ring. How long does it take to beat Elden Ring. Let's see. Elden Ring typically takes 50 to 100 plus hours for a standard first playthrough, focusing on the main story and some side content, with many players averaging around 60 to 80 hours for a complete, thorough experience. It often takes over 100 hours, and speedruns can finish it in under an hour. So obviously, you ain't gonna watch a movie where the main character is just, they're not even taking the time to fight the enemy and stuff. They're just speed running throughout the whole movie and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's a 30-minute. It ain't even a movie. It's pretty much a TV show episode, but just 30 minutes of just running from one area to another area and stuff. Yeah, no, they ain't nobody gonna watch that movie. We're also not gonna spend no 50 to 100 hours to watch that movie, and we ain't gonna spend no even however many hours you want to say watching the main character getting killed over and over and over again when there's all these different stories. Yeah, I guess like maybe if it's a TV series, then yeah, a show like that can last a lifetime. But if we're talking on a movie, you have only one time to come out with an Elden Ring movie. Do you think that they're going to spend time focused on discovering that area and the different enemies that exist within that area, and then finally going up against the final boss? Or are they going to just spend 2.5 hours just having it where the main character keeps getting killed by the same boss over and over again? So that's why I'm like, ain't nobody gonna watch that movie. And that's what just trips me out in this day and age with gaming. That if you talk on your frustrations with games like that, right? Like Elden Ring, and you say that's the main way of that game being fixed, is that they had a difficulty settings. People get mad at you for asking for that. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand how a difficulty settings will ruin your experience with the game, because if they have easy, medium, hard, original Souls-like, and then that's, like the original mode for Elden Ring, how would me playing the game on easy affect your time with the game? And that's why I'm like, because I think Elden Ring is like, they do have like a line of like online. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be playing the game with you. I'm going to be playing the game by myself. So that's why I'm like, at the end of the day, I could care less, if the game is going to be played on easy, medium, but I would rather prefer to play it on easy, because I know I'll be able to get through the story and be able to see the game for what it is. But yeah, I remember when I did play Elden Ring, it's just the same developers that make those games. I think they're just lazy and they don't want to add difficulty settings, because when you look at all these other different games, and that's something that I've said about those types of games, is that, do you think that I've actually went out into the middle of the woods and fought all these different creatures that exist in the game, from what they got, like giant ants, big giant golden people on golden horses and stuff? I can't remember what was the second boss that I seen in that game, but yeah, it's like it's one of those games where I'm like, fam. Then I remember when I was talking on my frustration with the game and the bosses that I did come across, and people were like, you don't have to fight those bosses. So what point does it, if I don't have to fight those bosses, then why do they exist in the game? Obviously, you are supposed to fight them, but I'm not. The thing is this, because Elden Ring, that game, it costs. Hold on for a second. Let me see how much it costs on I think I might have been misspelling Elden, because what game was I trying to look up on Steam and I couldn't find it. But anyways, so they have Elden Ring, where that's $59.99. Then they got the Shadow of Erdtree edition, where it's $79.99. And then they got the deluxe edition of the Shadow of the Erdtree, which is $99.99. I don't spend that much money on a video game to have it where I'm skipping past enemies and stuff. And that's why the one video game, comparing that to Elden Ring, and I would have to say, yeah, I had a much more better experience playing this game than Elden Ring, but Monster Hunter Wilds. And I know people are going to probably be all like, oh, that's not a Souls-like game. That's not look, at the end of the day, regardless of whatever it is that you want to call it, still, I was able to progress through that game and made it actually pretty far into that game without having to get killed by the same enemy over and over and over again. And then on top of that, they do have it where the game is a little bit more forgiving, where you could recruit other hunters and stuff to help you out, like AI. It could either be AI hunters or people that's actually playing the game. But from that to the different weapons, and they can do a whole lot of damage. And then on top of that, the enemies, they don't take away half your health after one hit. Because I think that's what the difference between those developers and the Elden Ring developers is that they're thinking along the lines like, okay, your character is used to taking hits from these big old giant monsters. In Elden Ring, they make it seem like that you're brand spanking new out there. And I'm like, my thing is this. If that's the case, then I wouldn't be out there. Like, if I'm not supposed to be fighting these enemies and all this other stuff, then what reasons do I have to be out there? Then there wouldn't be no video game. But if you're going to make a video game, you got to make a video game for all audiences and all people. And that's one thing that I don't see nowadays with gaming. It's like back then, I think that when they came out with a video game, they made a video game for everybody. So like when Midnight Club was coming out, everybody was playing that game. Same with Grand Theft Auto. Same with the Madden video games. I'm trying to think of some other video games that came out in that time frame and stuff, like the PlayStation 2 era. Yeah, you seen where a lot of different games was being made for everybody. Nowadays, it's like, it just seems like that there's some developers where they're like, we want everybody to play our game. So it's like, yeah, let's just add like a gang of content, make it where the game is fun, have it where maybe some years down the road, it's on a crazy sale where it's like you could get it for like $5-10 or something like that. Then it's bringing in a whole new audience, or adding it to Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. And that was the one game where I can say when it got added to Xbox Game Pass that I think that it really put that game on the map. But just overall what that game is, because I know a lot of people were saying it was kind of like a Pokemon, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a knockoff, but it did play out like Pokemon, but Pal World. And I feel like there was a lot of different people, whether you were a fan of that type of stuff or wasn't a fan of that type of stuff, because I never really had played too many games like that. I think I played before Pal World. I remember I was one of those people playing Pokemon Go, but I guess if we're talking like actual legitimate video game, I think I had only played like one Pokemon game prior before Pal World had came out. But I remember when it did come out, that was a video game that I wasn't like, I guess that genre, I wasn't really all that interested into it. Played it, and yeah, that was a video game where I was playing a lot of it. I still to this day have it installed on my PC. I just I just need to find the time to play it and stuff, but Pal World was a good game. It was a game that was playable. And they do have it where it's like, yeah, there's certain enemies in the game but you can get your level up high enough to where you can fight those enemies, but they're not going to put you in front of an enemy where it's like, you have to fight this enemy and stuff. Or it's like, if you want to fight them, it's just going to be impossible to kill them. They do have it, but it's at the same time, they also have it where if you level up, you'll be able to beat up whatever enemy is in that game with flying colors. So that's why I'm like, yeah, in this just day and age with gaming, it just seems like that it's all over the place. Developers don't know what they want, fans, and then it's like there's those like diehard fans where it's like you're giving these developers false hope, making it seem like they're doing something good when they're not. And it's like, yeah, just because you had a good experience with the game doesn't mean other people are going to have. Because my thing is this, besides me talking on this, let's say you hear a comment, because that's how I look at it too, where I know that they'll never just jump into a random conversation and start arguing with some random people and stuff. So yeah, let's say you're walking down the street and you hear two people talking badly about your all-time favorite video game, right? Let's say your all-time favorite video game is Animal Crossing, So you hear people talking on their frustrations with that video game. You're going to just chime in and start defending that game. They're going to look at you like you're crazy because they're going to be like, you're not changing my mind on the experience that I had with that game. So what's your angle in joining this conversation? Like, you ain't changed my mind. So where do we go from here? Like, are you going to try to force me to support the game? No, that's not going to happen. So, because if that's the case, then I'm like, I'll just lie just to get you out of my face. But other than that, it's like, I'm still going to have my ill feelings towards whatever video game I talk badly about. And the latest video game that I said some stuff about it and people were trying to change my mind on it. And I'm like, you're the reason why video game developers just fail at some point. Because you're not trying to talk on the issues with the game on making the video game playable. You're just trying to like, let me get on the developers' good graces in hopes of what? Of a follow back on social media. They give you a free copy of the next game that comes out and stuff. Yeah. I'm not, whatever your desires are on supporting the developers, they ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm going to still say how I feel about a video game. But anyways, is this video game Remnant 2. Now, they have it set up where you go up against all these different enemies. They do have it where there's like the one where it's kind of like the level is fixed to where you're supposed to lose But they do show where it leads into a cutscene where it's they make it seem like your character is getting ready to die, him and his friend. But then eventually they do have it set up where I guess like I don't know if he gets like a superpower or what, but overall your character lives. And then they have it where you pretty much go up against some like other enemies. You go up against them, no problem. Then they have it where you go to this, like, I don't know if it's a planet, spaceship, or what, but you're killing off these bugs. There's no problem killing off the bugs. But then all because one bug is blue, now it wants to be all difficult to kill. And I'm like, fam, realistically, right? And if they were to make a movie, they probably wouldn't have it set up that way where you're shooting at this bug and, you know, like having reloading your gun like about, what, 30 to 40 magazines and stuff of just shooting one bug. In the movie, I guarantee and I promise you, if they were to make a Remnant 2 movie or just overall a Remnant movie and they had that enemy in there, they're most likely the main character, whoever the main character is going to shoot that bug, what, maybe 4 or 5 times and then the thing's going to die. But what sense does it make to shoot it 400 to 500 times and it only takes away a fraction of its health? That's why I'm like, yeah, you know, people, they support that type of stuff and they're cool with it and I'm not. You know, because I'm like, if you wouldn't do that in the movie, don't do that in the video game. You know, but I guess, like, yeah, some developers, they're probably like, oh, okay, you know, we're probably never going to get picked up for a movie. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of video games that unset that. But even one video game I can think of where they did make a movie, and I'm like, yeah, you guys had it where that stuff happened, what, maybe once in the movie and stuff where it was a police chase, but then you had it where you came out with another video game and you just had it where it was just nonstop. You did more police chases than races in the game, or it's like you got chased by the cops more times than you raced in the game, but Need for Speed. So they came out with that movie in 2014 2014, because I had to think about it real quick, but they came out with the movie, one of my all-time favorite movies. But then they came out with Need for Speed Unbound, and I'm like, bro, why am I getting chased by the cops so many different times? And then, of course, you know, people are trying to defend it, and I'm like, fam, there ain't no defense for that. I don't play a game just to have it where I'm just stuck on doing the one thing, and then the developers, for some reason, refuse. Because if that's one game that I wish I could get my money back, oh, I definitely would. Because I'm like, it makes no sense to even play that game if I'm only going to get chased by the cops, and I can't even do the street races and then see the story and stuff for what it is. So that's why I'm like, man, people, stop doing that. Stop defending video games when somebody get to talking badly about it, because you're not helping. It's like, if anything, you're keeping that game stuck in a vortex where the developers are thinking, oh, we're doing something good. Then when they come out with like, what, 4 or 5 video games later and they still doing the same thing that they was doing years ago, and all of it, it's like, no, that's the thing where it's like people, they don't be thinking along those lines, and then it'd be them same ones where they start talking badly about the game, and it's like, I told y'all so. Like, you didn't want to listen. No, you just want to sit around to defend the game, and then when people get to talking badly about it and they hit you with some actual factuals, you just want to hit them with the simple, it's a skill issue. How? When it's like, most likely anybody that's been playing video games for well over 20 years done played up just about every genre out there known to mankind. So that's why I'm like, I ain't hearing nothing about no skill issue crap. I'm like, especially if it's somebody younger than me. I'm like, fam, I've been playing video games longer than you've been alive. You ain't gonna tell me about video games. And it's like, bruh, you're still in school trying to get an education. Get out of here. All right. So, but anyways, with that being said, yeah, bro, video games, it's like, it's a time where it's like video games need to change. And I honestly feel like video games ain't gonna change until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. Because when that game comes out, I do feel like a lot of people are they're gonna be struggling trying to figure out, like, well, what could we possibly do to make our video game better? And it's like, well, it shouldn't have taken Grand Theft Auto 6 to come out to ask yourself that question. You guys should have been asking yourself that question 4 or 5 video games ago. So, but anyways, with that being said, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow or subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.